please go to my partner channel, The King of Hate HD, and click on the ads that show up on the videos there, because hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, that actually starts giving me some money back for what I'm doing. I mean, it's not cheap to do what I'm doing. I bought a lot of games, a lot of equipment, and now I have my own condo, which is basically my studio, to do whatever the hell I want. So, you know, anything that you can give back is much appreciated. I also do have the PayPal donation.
Hey yo, I just want to say shout out to my red bike. It got stolen about a year ago, and I think about you every day. But you know, now I got a blue bike, and it's not the same, but it's a new life, a new journey. So rest in pedals, red bike, I love you. I like to bask in the tropics with a flask in my pocket. If you acting no brolic, I'll start laughing and mocking like a charismatic parrot that isn't comic. Now I'm feeling like the shit, cause I'm rapping with phonics. Loose off of Jan Ricky's, peruse in Sin City, riding my Schwinn smooth like the swinging King Griffin.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopia News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is the Snort Report. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys are doing well. Extremely behind. A lot to do, a lot to catch up with. And with the holidays very quickly approaching, I had a, not necessarily an epiphany, but I've certainly come to a realization about people like DSP. Now, granted, DSP is kind of the rarity, but there are plenty of scumbags out there like him. Amber Lynn Reed is a good example, as well as a few others. But it's amazing how you can convince people, and this is addressed to both of them. It's amazing how you guys can convince people to give you money for fake taxes, probably sick and dying parents, a GoFundMe to allegedly help another parent to pay for cancer treatment. You can convince people to give you money and or give you positive attention for all these different things, right? But yet you guys are truly helpless on your own. You guys don't know how to cook, or barely. You don't know how to clean. You don't understand how the real world works at all, but yet you can manipulate people online to do whatever you want. That blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind that you have people like this who do not know how to function day to day, but they can convince other people to give them money and do the hard lifting for them. It's and then they get mad, or at least one of them does, gets mad when you call him a cult leader. It's extraordinary. I really need to start doing some Amber Lynn shit. That shit's we'll see. I might throw it into the mix and whatnot, because I'm not gonna wait for Asian GTG. When he pops in, he pops in. Because you guys have to hear it. It's not even about how Amber or Chantel uses their weight. It's just the mindset on like how they think about stuff. If you guys watch Tevin streams, you already know this. It's wild, dude. It's not even her weight. It's how she uses her weight to her advantage, whether as an aggressor or on the defense. But then when you really deep dive and she expresses more about her life, not weight-wise, just her general mentality, it don't make no sense. And it's just like DSP. Like, DSP is sitting here starving himself because he doesn't want to be called fat anymore, I guess, or whatever, and whatnot. So he's systematically starving himself. He looks like shit. I'm sure he probably smells like shit. He can't do anything. He barely has the energy to even play video games anymore. Not that he ever did. He just looks horrible. In the days that he's drinking, and don't get it twisted, he's still drinking, you can see that he's even more sluggish. And you can see that he's even more irritated. Because the alcohol doesn't have nowhere to go. So it just hits him. It just hits him all crazy. It's almost a sad thing to watch, to be honest. I don't mean sad like as in pathetic. I mean it's sad as in it's actually kind of sad. How two people that are literally on different sides of the spectrum, one who's eating themselves to death and the other one who's just going to fall apart because, oh, I'm not fat anymore, or I don't eat as much as I used to, I don't have all these negative and bad behaviors, so I don't need to go to the gym, are literally withering away in front of us. And they're doing it on two separate spectrums, and yet they both have the same shitty attitude and personality. They hate everybody, but then they have to use everybody. They talk about how successful they are, while one of them literally begs and pleads for the very people he tries to flex on to give him the money so he can flex on them. And then the other one talks about all of her success and how she's making her $20,000, $24,000 a month, whatever the speculation is, which was what DSP used to pull in, and yet your girlfriend's asking for money for cancer treatment through a GoFundMe, and you theoretically have the money to do that. And then you tell people they don't have a right to check your pockets while you flex on them and say that I'm making all this money and look at all the shit that I'm buying. It's insane. So when we make the joke, so to give you guys some context, so when we make the joke about a female DSP, there are a bunch of, it could fit into a bunch of different categories for a bunch of different people, depending on what are the specifics that you want to focus on. But if you really look at Amberlynn Reed and just kind of like her shitty attitude, her shitty behavior, not her weight, but her shitty attitude and her shitty behavior, and you look at DSP and his shitty attitude and his shitty behavior, I think we have a dead ringer. And I think subliminally, like in a subliminal type way, I think Tevin has been trying to show us all this over the period of the last couple months, maybe a year. He's been kind of having these Amberlynn streams. I can't remember. I'm not really quite sure. It kind of just popped out of nowhere, and we've all been in suspense ever since. But praise be to Tevin. Just wild shit. I'm sorry. I just want to throw that out there as a random thought because I thought that shit was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous the shit she pulled. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you're not here for that. You're here for this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell, DSP. Monthly goal achieved, Valedictorian, and banned Adsense account rant. Now, this is from November 15th of 2019, by the way. The monthly goal achieved, why wouldn't it be? Him being valedictorian. I've had plenty of discussions with people about that. Like, how is this possible that you have somebody, because of circumstance, that he was lucky, and that's the reason why he's able to live the way he lives now, and has resorted to begging, but in theory, he's somewhat successful, because he still begs for money to get everything that he wants. But this guy used to be valedictorian at one time? Like, I have a hard time. It's really weird. Like, I want to try to justify to you in some way that, okay, maybe academically, he's not a complete and total, he's not a complete and total Lemmy, and he may actually have some academic clout to him in some way. But then you listen to enough pre-streams and it's like, no, there's no way that someone of any type of intellectual competency would act this way. It doesn't make any, that's what makes DSP so fascinating, that an individual like this exists, and they're really, since he always wants to be considered a unique fucking snowflake, there really isn't anybody like him. Yeah, there's plenty of scam artists out there, there's plenty of scumbags, there's plenty of people who beg for money in their own little way, shape, or form, but not like DSP, not like Darkside Phil, not like Phil Burnell. He's literally broken the mold on what it is that he does. And it's only because of how pathetic and pitiful he is that he's not on more people's radar, if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because as some of you have even said, hey, there are other lol cows out there. And there's more and more popping up every day. But that's the reason why his infamy isn't as widespread as most people would think. That's why, to be honest with you, he needs detractors, because it keeps this legacy, as he likes to say, it keeps his legacy alive in a way that he couldn't. I'm not against the argument that if detractors stop making content on him, he would just fade away. He would say that that's not the case, but in reality, that's probably what would happen. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's what would happen. Yeah, he would still exist, but he's existing now. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it, no one's taking his existence away from him. He would just be even less known. There would only be this small little pocket of the internet that would watch him, and that's it. Like that Pro Jared situation, for example. I know I'm going off on a bit of a spiel here. That Pro Jared situation, he swears up and down that it opened people's eyes to Darkside Phil, and they realize he's not the bad guy that he's been falsely portrayed. Fake news. And they're really giving him a shot. His stream attendance isn't rising. His making more money, yes, but his stream attendance isn't rising. His views on YouTube aren't really rising like that either. And where's the support for all those bullshit tweets that he puts out day to day as part of his work on Twitter? Everybody came in to see what he was going to say about Pro Jared, and then once that was done and over with, they left. And look at Pro Jared now. He's rebuilding himself, to be honest with you. He's going to eventually get back to where he was, probably in another 6 to 8 months, maybe sooner than that. But where's Darkside Phil at? He's still right where he was. He let 2 tweets. He let a little bit, not even a lot, a little bit of public attention make him believe in this world of delusion that I like to call Gout Inception. That the whole world was going to turn against his namesayers, and he was going to rise right back up to where he feels that he should be, with no additional work. He jumped on a hate wagon and was hoping that was going to ride him to success. But doesn't he say that detractors, trolls, and haters do that exact same thing? And now they're making a living off of him for doing that? When he tried to do the same thing to Pro Jared. The level of hypocrisy is bullshit. But yet, it's okay if he does it because he's in a bad spot. But if anybody else does it, they should be condemned and lambasted and dejawed and all these different things he said about all these different people over the years. The irony, though, ladies and gentlemen, is that it didn't work. Just like that whole situation with the quartering or quarter pounder. That resulted in nothing. Jeremy didn't really benefit from that shit, and Phil didn't benefit from that shit. It was 2 dudes who have gout, with one overwhelmingly wanted to know what happened to Phil's load. Catherine doesn't even give a shit what happens to Phil's load, but the quarter pounder does. I'm perplexed in a way that I could never really convey to you. But this guy used to be valedictorian. Academically, maybe there's something there, maybe there isn't. I could be just giving him too much credit. I've been accused of that. But socially, it's not there. But that's where my initial spiel comes into play. So you see I'm kind of coming back around. How is it that someone who has, and you have to, and this might be giving too much credit, it might not, maybe some of you guys will feel me where I'm coming from, that has at least, I would say, a decent level and understanding of social intelligence, or a decent amount of social intelligence, because he's able to manipulate people to give him money day to day, to pay for his 2 homes, possibly 2 cars, and everything else that goes along with that, right? But yet, at the same time, has little to no social intelligence, believing that a couple of tweets on Twitter, on a hate campaign, if you will, at that time, was going to change 11 years of his bullshit, of his negativity. Like, there is shit that I find that I haven't had a chance to record yet that is just, I didn't even know some of that shit existed that he was doing. That's the stuff that people had sent me, being like, you should go over this. This is something no one talks about. I bet you anything, if Tevin ever saw the video, if he ever saw the video, he would remember it, but I certainly have never heard anybody really talk about that. So this is like, so there's even darker lore on the pig roach than even I understood or even knew. But he really thought a couple of tweets was going to wipe all that away. So how do you have a level of social intelligence to where you can manipulate people to give you money, while at the same time you have little to no social intelligence, and you can't understand how something like that cannot wash away all the dirt that's on you? You know what I'm saying? This isn't pig roach redemption. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. It's insane. Either which way, sorry about that. Small spiel. But let's go ahead and get into the broadcast. It's going to be a 1 video broadcast for a little while until I can catch up, as you guys know. Hope you guys are doing well. And let's go ahead and get into the let's get into this bacon, shall we? Let's get into this bacon. Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snort Report, and this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh yes, a GTG network and productions. You guys all know the slogan. I don't smell no bacon cooking yet, but we're about to get on that. We're about to get on it right now. But before we do, SnortBucks coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, I love SnortBucks coffee. It's great. And you guys have been very kind with telling me some of your favorite flavors and so on and so forth. I very much appreciate it. And we are starting to compile a list, and that's been fun. And it's still fun, actually, because some of you guys are funny. So look forward to that as the rollout goes out. And we'll see how we can get that incorporated in some way, shape, or form. I have ideas, but we'll see how that pans out. Because sometimes I can see myself kind of being a little bit over ambitious, especially with a very small amount of time. But we'll see how that plays out. But SnortBucks coffee, it's the best coffee. It's amazing coffee. It's the Detractor's coffee. It's my coffee. It's your coffee. Best part of waking up was SnortBucks in your cup. Jesus, that hurts. And it's not in decaffeinated, at least not yet. So, same thing with the tea, because someone was asking me about that too. Do we carry decaffeinated tea? Not yet. We're working on it, but not yet. You guys all know the slogan. It's time to watch me work. Oh man. Actually, have I ever had decaffeinated tea? I'm sure I have. I think we all have it one time.
Yeah. I hope that it's alright with you. With you. I told my girl I got a new thing, yeah. I hope that it's alright with you. With you.
Gotta play the game.
Someone stole my red bike, so I bought a blue one. If I see that fucker riding it, then I'ma sue one. Got rich, then I blew up, got everyone in my crew one. Ride for my true ones. Yo, I told my girl I got a new thing. Yeah. I hope that this alright with you. With you.
Hey yo, I just want to say shout out to my red bike. It got stolen about a year ago.
Absolutely disgusting.
Shenmue 3. That's coming out next Tuesday, which is my day off from streaming.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that earlier, but I wanted to get that thought out there and see what people thought. But someone let Amber know I'm coming, and not in the way that she's expecting. I'm coming, ladies and gentlemen. Oh shit! I didn't necessarily mean it that way, but I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna stand behind that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with one of our favorites, Snort Burnell. Yes, DSP. Monthly goal achieved. Valedictorian and banned Adsense account rant. This is from November 15th of 2019. You know, you guys all know how this works. Time to watch me work.
19th. Now, I'm going to be so busy with all these games. Let's face it, I'm not going to have time to start Shenmue 3 then. And I'm telling you guys right up front, there's no way I'm playing.
Now, let me jump in right back in, I guess, because let's talk. So, Shenmue 3 is coming out. And just as Snort Burnell just said, who wants to watch him play this? More importantly than that, why are we taking in new games when we still haven't finished the games that are currently being played, on top of some of those current games, those current hot releases that he was so desperate to get people to give him money for so he can play, that are now being thrown into the whole chill stream situation? What's going on with that? How about we go ahead and complete what's on our plate first and then move on to the other stuff? Maybe, just maybe, and this is me here talking to you as a detractor, a brain dead idiot, right? Who doesn't know shit about the world, doesn't know anything about escrow and all this silly shit, right? While at the same time, I'm still a cute pup in a sharp suit. Ask anybody, they'll tell you. Why are we taking on... Well, no, let's reword that. Let's remix that. It's funny how maybe the games, ladies and gentlemen, aren't the problem. Maybe it's because the attention span of people who used to tolerate Phil's bad gaming habits and behaviors have caught up to him, and now the games are literally DOA on arrival. Maybe that's what the situation is. Maybe all of these streams that we're having where he's stalling on gameplay, the pre-streams are too goddamn long, and people are only over there to mine for gold and SnortBucks salt, to be honest with you. That's really what it is. Just in case you guys didn't know. Outside of that, the pre-stream, which is entirely too goddamn long, and then the 30 minutes of music being played leading up to the pre-stream, or 20 to 30 minutes, maybe people's attention is just dead. It's just gone. Once you get through that hour, maybe hour and a half of gameplay, before he even hits his first break, people are pretty much done. There's nothing else that they really want to see. There's nothing captivating about him. There's nothing very engaging about him. He has a shitty personality. He's some old dude sitting on his fucking love seat playing games badly. So unless he decides to embrace the drama and really give people something to say to keep people locked in for the gameplay, which is really just him talking shit, what's the point of sticking around? And how has he not figured that out yet after all the years that he's been trotting on this earth? You're not an important person. You're not an entertaining person. You're not really even that intriguing. It's, yet again, the people around you who put you into situations is what makes you interesting. You're literally the proverbial gilded pig, you know what I'm saying, and the smoker. That's it. You think this is your palace. You think that you have so many accomplishments and accolades, and you think you're so goddamn special. If that's the case, then why did you put yourself in a box in the first place? Now that box has become this patented smoker, I should say. And that's all people are doing, sweating you out while at the same time infusing flavor into you. Imagine people having to go to your stream to make you more entertaining, which is what he's been asking for since he started streaming. That's why he doesn't believe in asking people questions. You guys need to ask him questions. So what makes him think that him infusing more and more new games into a streaming lineup is going to help in the long term when most of them die off after a couple streams? You can tell that by the money. What is it that they tell you, if any of you guys who follow, like, you know, murder mysteries or true crimes or any of that shit, when they tell you about certain crimes that especially have something to do with money, but really any crime that involves anything, one of the first things they tell you is, one, look at spouses or close acquaintances, and two, follow the money. The money proves that he's failing. Even with those large influxes that come in every day, every other day. Because what's Phil averaging right now? Like $100 a day, a little more, a little less, and whatnot, until Planet Jeff gets his payoff from his dead wife's insurance. And then a large influx will come in, and then it just dies out again. So let's say that he averages about $100 a day, a little more, a little less. When the new games come in, are you seeing $500, $600, $700, $800 for each and every one of those streams, and then you see a downshift? You know what I'm saying? Or a sudden dip? No. You see it for one stream, maybe two, and then everything just goes back to the way it was. Barely making any money. The engagement is slowly but surely falling apart, and he himself doesn't even have the energy to try to fake like he gives a fuck. So Shenmue is supposed to do what now? When the audience for Shenmue is almost non-existent. And even if he's playing it for nostalgia's sake, he's going to fall asleep just like he did during, he's going to fall asleep just as he did through, Judgment. And then the game that was kind of falls into a JRPG kind of thing, the game before that, he fell asleep at a couple of times in between both of those playthroughs. So now Shenmue's supposed to change it? Something that's heavy dialogue and doesn't require, it doesn't allow a crazy amount of interaction, but even if it is, it's going to be forced because he's not going to have anything to do in the game except for listening to the dialogue. He's killing himself. Well, he's killing the stream like that. So he's talking about, I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to play this, but I really want to play this. Why? Finish what you have first. He needs to do a heavy grind on all the games that he's playing right now. Grind all that shit out that's story-based and move the fuck along. And the chill streams, this is what needs to be on the chill streams right now, ladies and gentlemen. Modern Warfare is kind of dead on arrival for him. He's terrible at it. Stop playing it. Until they put a Battle Royale mode in, which allegedly they're going to. He needs to play Minecraft, and he needs to bring Black Ops 4 Blackout back in there. And get Battle Royale back in. And get some PUBG. That's pretty much what should be played on the chill streams right now. Those three games. Blackout, PUBG, and Minecraft. Those should be the three chill games for right now that should be played. Nothing else. Well, there's a spot for a fourth one, but for right now, those should be what he should be doing. Everybody gets their gold dust and so on and so forth. He gets a chill game where he can basically beg for money and whatnot and do it in a subtle way, if Phil knows what subtle means. And everybody gets what they want. Instead of trying to infuse all these other games in, hoping to see that something sticks. The walls are full of pig shit. There's no space. All you're doing is putting pig shit on top of pig shit. And it's not getting anywhere. And you ruining a game like Shenmue or saying, oh, no one's not into it or the game's not very good. It's you. You're the problem. You always were the problem. You transitioning from making shitty YouTube videos to now being a shitty streamer is showing itself, or at least it should be making itself, more apparent to him now than ever. Get over it. On top of all the lies and everything that you ain't throwing at people anyway. I couldn't get married. I can't afford a pet. I can't do all these things, and yet there they all are. Just my opinion, of course. DSP News.
Shenmue 3 at release. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to be way too busy with all these other games, and I don't want to start another playthrough that then gets locked and not played too frequently. We're going to focus on all those games for a while. Once we start finishing up those games, yes, then I will consider starting Shenmue 3. So good stuff. Now also, there's some good news.
I guarantee you he won't. Well, I can't guarantee you, but he'll eventually finagle Shenmue in there. Because a couple of the playthroughs being played now are already dying out. And he needs a rush of new blood. But he'll just kill Shenmue. To be honest with you, he'll kill just about any game, any new release, I should say, that is going to be inserted in there. He's killing them all off. They're literally dying. They immediately become toxic, and there's no antibiotics. It's just the way it is.
For those who were not here yesterday, you're probably not aware.
And as Snort Burnell said earlier, sorry about that. Why bother even playing it? You don't have an audience for it anymore. So even if he goes with what he's saying now, he's going to play it late. He's just going to kill even more of the demand, if the demand's even there. The days of, I'm going to play this game because I want to play it is done. If he doesn't start really, and I mean really start now, Phil, or whoever it is that's going to end up, basically sending this back to him or feeding this back to him. If he doesn't start playing the games that people want to see, not the games that he wants to play, the games that people want to see, he's done. He's done. And I don't think Planet Jeff or Golden Colts, or I don't even know Swaggins is even around, and if he does, I would assume he's giving him money, but who could say? I'm sure what pay piggies are left can't hold the load. No pun intended. And where's the new whale at? Or whales? One whale's not even enough anymore. He needs a whole pod of whales now. Or herd, or whatever the term is. Excuse me. Whatever the term is. He needs that now. That's what it's become. Also, considering in some period of time of branching out into SnortBucks coffee in a can, like iced coffee. Yeah, we're expanding the market. Not yet though. You kind of have to continue to build the brand before you can expand. I wish someone had told Phil that all those years ago, but Phil was more focused on himself than the brand, even though the brand is theoretically him. Whatever. Here we go.
Yesterday, we hit the subscriber goal for the month of November. Alright? This means a few things. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed this month, and of course, everyone who gifted subs this month, because there were a significant amount of gifted subscriptions that allowed us to hit the sub goal for the month. This means that we are doing a holiday event marathon next month. It'll be a couple days before Christmas. No, I don't have the specific date set out yet, but I'm actually thinking that weekend before Christmas would be perfect.
Why? Why do we... Here's the thing. They're paying for an event that he's going to do each and every year anyway. So who cares? Even if he didn't hit the goal, he more than likely was going to still do the event because he always does the event. So who gives a shit? And more importantly, no one can be disappointed, even though they have a right to be. No one's going to be disappointed when the event flops because the event every year flopped. He hasn't had a successful Christmas event or even Thanksgiving King of Hate since 2017. That was like the golden year of bullshit and drama and monies. That was the last great year. 2018 was horrible for him, and he got so depressed and drunk, and I mean drunk off stream, not on stream, with the lack of donations and everything that came last Christmas, that this guy was such a coward that he took a week off. Or maybe not a week, it was like 3 or 4 days. Maybe it was 3 days whatever. 3 days to him is like a week anyway. He took all that time off because he wasn't even man enough to basically look at to accept the failure. That Christmas stream last year was horrible. And now this year he's talking about, oh, well, he might drink on stream, you know, to make himself, you know, to kind of lighten up the mood. Why? Didn't he complain about last year he wasn't going to do it because he felt all that depression? So you getting married and introducing your $2,100 cat is supposed to make the year better for you? He don't even realize that people are going to go hard in the paint on him if he gets drunk this year. If he decides to drink on stream, if people press his buttons, if people go ahead and poke that bacon where it counts, you could get Drunken Phil this year. And if you guys get Drunken Phil this year, that means we get better lore this year. It's just something to think about. You know, just send that PSA out to, I'm sure Tevin already realizes that. Send it out to LSB, but I'm sure he already realizes it. Send it out to James the Lesser, Agent Proper, the DIA. It's definitely someone tell Dark Dave Mirrors, that shit could really heat up if you guys poke him just right. And you got to remember, with pork, you don't want to just keep stabbing it to see if it's ready. You got to time that shit out, because if not, then that's gonna be dry on the inside. No one wants that. I mean, shit. Ask Catherine when she has to spend quality time for Phil. I'm sure it's rather uncomfortable. My bad. Here we go.
Wow. So I'm pretty destroyed right now financially, and the thing is, I can't even afford both video games tomorrow. I'm just being honest with you guys. I can't. Save the pig! What the heck? A pig with a party hat. Hello, Mr. Piggy. Ziggy Piggy. Save the pig, the game. The whole game you're trying to save the pig's life. Help! I can buy one right now. I can't buy the other. So depending on what I raise on stream today via tips, you know, that's going to pay for the games for tomorrow. So please consider tipping me today if at all you can. It helps me the most because, number one, those are funds I get right away that I can use for buying games. And I also need to help with bills and everything. So please tip me today if you can. Oh, don't tell me how to give you my money.
All right, now this is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. You gotta listen to this one. Sometimes I read troll tips, sometimes I don't. This is one that's so hilarious, I feel like reading it today just for a laugh. So you ready? Wicked Man 36. Tip me $1. Alright? And first of all, this is the first tip of the day, so technically I should get this guy up on the leaderboard, even though he's a troll. I'm gonna give him...
Real quick, before we get into this obvious bait that he's about to take. So, I need you guys to send me tips so I can buy one of the 2 games that I need for tomorrow. But I also need it for bills and everything else. And, ladies and gentlemen, just to keep in line with the lore, we have all these overdrafts going on and all that too, right? So, how can he guarantee you that the money you're going to tip that day will go to the game itself that he wants to buy for tomorrow if he has all these overdrafts hanging over his head? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know he's not going to pull a DJ Runo and, let's reword that. How do you know he's not going to pull the same scam that he pulled on DJ Runo and pocket that money for a game that's allegedly, that was supposed to be for a game, and use it on, quote-unquote, alleged bills? Does no one over there think about these type of things? Like, yes, most of you are going to be like, well, come on, GTG, he's going to use that money for the game because he needs the game, and he needs the proceeds from the game, I should say, to pay his bills. True. But if he's overdraft, and let's see here. This is from the 15th. This is... Wait a second. How does he not have now that I'm paying attention to this, how does he not have money for have the money he needs for the game when he's going to get paid tomorrow? Whoops. Like, how... Now we have all kinds of problems. So, tip me now, so I can afford one of 2 games. I have the money for one of them, but I need you guys to tip me so I can pay the other. Also, I have all these bills and everything, so tipping's very important, despite the fact that I'm going to get paid today or tomorrow anyway. Oh my. Oh my.
Recognition anyway, just because I'm a nice guy, okay?
That's the definition of a drama queen, seriously.
he says the following. Here we go, ready? So, you ready for this one? After half-hearted denials of your blatantly illegal AdSense account, hilarious, right? Blatantly illegal. You are now on the clock to provide us all with proof that you are a valedictorian of your school. Stop with the excuses.
The thing is, though, is he's right, though. You even admitted that you had a dummy AdSense account. Because that's how you signed yourself up for Curse. You admitted that. You admitted it. I think he actually admitted that to the person on YouTube that he had the contact to get all this squared away so he could get monetization back on his account. Or back on his channel, I should say. So you admitted it. You said it was because of how fucked up the system was that it forced you to create a dummy AdSense account and or accounts, wink wink nudge nudge, so you could perform the workaround. You even said that it was YouTube's fault. But then again, why would anybody need multiple AdSense accounts for multiple channels? That doesn't make any sense in its own right. No one needs that. One AdSense account can cover up to 500 accounts. Or channels, or however you want to use it, or however you want to be able to use your ads. It's between 2 and 5. 2 or 500 of those things. Off one AdSense account. So why would you need multiple AdSense accounts? Unless he was going to pull some type of scam in the first place. But the point being, because I'm starting to go off the rails, is that he admitted that he had a dummy AdSense account / accounts. He admitted this. Which is funny because the new lore is, he always had his AdSense account from the beginning. Like the original one that was knocked off because of... Sorry, I know people don't like me snapping like that. The original AdSense account that was... that ended up getting suspended because he asked people to click ads. He said he got that back. He said he had that the whole time. He was just sitting on it. But that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if he did, then why didn't you use that account? Why did you have to use a dummy account? And most people think it wasn't even a dummy account. He was probably using someone else's AdSense. Whether it was Panda's or he had his parents create one. We don't know. But I'm just throwing out some of the speculation. But let's listen in.
I'm on the clock to provide evidence that I was a valedictorian at my high school. First of all, this has already been done by these same obsessive people. I think it was a couple years ago, they actually called my high school and asked for the records for the year that I graduated, and actually my high school confirmed that I was the valedictorian. This has already been done. It's already been documented on the internet. If someone did this, it's already been proven that I was the valedictorian because they called themselves and they basically got the information. So why on earth? First of all, why on earth would anyone care, right? Like, you're so obsessed with the fact that you hate me, you can't possibly believe that I'm actually, like, intelligent as a human, and you would think that, there's no...
You can't believe that I'm actually intelligent as a human? Compared to what? I'm sorry, Phil, what kind of primate are you? Let's reword that. What kind of primate do you think people think you are? If you weren't human? Like, how does that work? I would consider you really like some type of slug more than even a primate. I feel like I'm insulting primates by doing that. But if someone thought that you were lesser than a human, what would you be? Seriously. Like, is it maybe a parasite of some type? A plague? Some type of virus that literally infects everything and absorbs all of their nutrients and then moves on to the next host? Something along those lines, if you don't want to be considered a primate. We can go ahead and remix this all you want. I'll work with you, Phil. I'll work with you. What do you want to do? Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Way he could have been the valedictorian of high school because we hate him and we think he's dumb as dirt. So he must be lying when he said that in his stories over the years. Okay, right? So they're so obsessed. First of all,
you have lied about quite a bit of stories over the years, though. You've even admitted that. Well, he says he was exaggerating. But let's be honest, he was out and out lying. Think about his, as I said earlier, you guys some of you kind of see how the machine works a little bit. Think about what I said earlier about the whole thing with Pro Jared. And off of those 2 tweets, he thought, I'm going to do a 7 years of debunking. skipped entire years, skipped entire situations. Tevin was barely brought up at all, if any. If I remember correctly, SOK wasn't brought up. There was a bunch of people that weren't brought up. There was a bunch of scenarios that weren't brought up. And he was the one who said, oh, I have this list and I'm about to go over it. Come to find out, the list actually belonged to Dragon Killer, also known as DSP Archives on Twitter. That was DSP Archives' list. That was his video. That was his tribute. So I want you to think about that for some of you guys who may have forgotten. Phil does like an hour-and-a-half video, a 2.5-hour plus stream. I think because Tevin actually has it on his channel. You should check it out. Where, if you guys haven't seen it, I think I did a video too, but watch Tevin's, it's better. Where he goes over this supposed 7 years, but it wasn't even 7 years. It was like 2, maybe 3, and he proved nothing. So, which is another thing. The detractors have all this evidence because they have all these different scenarios and all these different examples of you saying certain shit. And Phil comes on this debunking stream with nothing, with only his word. And he thought, in some strange nexus of common sense, that was going to carry the day. And it didn't, because your word don't mean shit. You had no proof whatsoever. He thought, oh, I'll say it's not true, and that's going to be enough. To who? To who? Not with anybody with some common sense. You didn't debunk anything. Jesus Christ, at least when Pro Jared finally came out and defended himself, he had some receipts. But you had nothing. You had your word, and you thought that was going to be law. And it wasn't. Because most of the shit he said was remixed anyway. Or redacted, or, you know what I'm saying, or reworked. You know what I'm saying? He retconned a lot of shit. And that's why he skipped so many years, because one, he didn't make the list. And two, some of that shit you just can't explain away. He knows that, because he follows Dragon Killer on Twitter. Not actually follows him, but he keeps tabs on his account, I should say. He knew that immediately someone was going to end up finding the video clip and sending it over there to Dragon Killer, if Dragon Killer didn't find it himself, and post it up. Oh, that's debunked. Kiwi Farms would have had it too, and Phil is over there on Kiwi Farms every day. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Obsessed with disproving that I was a valedictorian. I can tell you, I can smell the saltiness.
I mean, in truth, 2019 has been the year of debunking, and that's really his fault more than anything. 2020 is going to be even better. It's going to be even better. I got to talk to Agent Proper and James Lesser about that. I have ideas. I have ideas, and I've been compiling a nice little list too. So, yeah, 2020 is going to be a great year. We're going to make Galtopia great again, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to make Galtopia great again. I'm just kidding. Galtopia was always great.
Then they ignore the fact that already these people have done this already. They've already called my fucking high school and got the information. They discount that, and they ask me to provide more proof. Like,
now, question is, how would he know that if he doesn't follow the drama and he doesn't follow detractors? I know most of you are like, come on, GTG, you just told us he does. But let's stick to piggy lore for a minute. Let's listen to bacon lore for a minute. He says that he doesn't interact with that bullshit. That he is a well-adjusted married man. Calling Phil a man is just disturbing to me. Married man who has a cat and has a wonderful life doing what he's doing. He doesn't have time for the bullshit. He doesn't engage with the bullshit. Despite the fact that he does keep tabs on people like Dragon Killer or DSP Archives on Twitter and on Kiwi Farms. Hence the reason why he knows about this. But he says that he doesn't engage with this type of activity. It's beneath him. He has a life. So how does he know all this again? I'm just asking.
What the fuck? Of course, the best part on top of all of this is the blatantly illegal AdSense account. Like, what? What the hell are you talking about? I've told the story multiple times. I told it in the interview with the Quartering. I've told the story about what happened with my AdSense account. Here, I'll tell it again in a nutshell.
Oh my god!
I haven't gone over the Quarter Pounder interview, and I know it's really, really boring, but if there are some at least juicy bacon bits in that shit salad, we have to see what can be salvaged and what can't. Would that be considered a shit salad? You got two men who have gout. If you had to describe that as, it's really just pork and beef. If you think about it, it's like if you went and had and ordered an undercooked cheeseburger or an undercooked double cheeseburger and then a double stack turkey patty, or a turkey sandwich, I should say, or turkey burger, if you will. And then you have some stale fries. That's kind of what that meal is. Because I don't want to equate it to like steak and pork chops. After I'm done with it, it'll be steak and pork chops. But initially, that's not what it is. I don't know. But eventually I'm going to go over that interview. Because why not?
Oh, no.
Back in the day, before I was monetizing my gameplay videos on YouTube, I had a vlogging channel that was monetized. Now, I lost my job in late 2010, and people felt bad for me because I lost my job. I wasn't doing YouTube for a living at the time. And they ran to my vlogging channel, and they clicked the living shit out of all the videos and ads there.
Because you told them to. I don't know why he wants to go ahead and shrug it off like, oh, they did it because they felt bad for me. You wanted them to feel bad for you. That's why you made a video talking about how you got laid off. And how, if they could, that you're going to really need their support right now and whatnot, so please click the ads on the video. And then you made a follow-up video that went to Blip TV, but it is on the internet, where you said, you know, if you guys interact with the video, I can't tell you exactly what that is because that's against the whatever, but if you guys have been, you know, if you guys have interacted with YouTube on any, you know, on any level, you know exactly what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, snort. So he did it on 2 separate occasions. But he's acting like the fans just felt so bad for him that they ran off and did it. Especially in the initial video when he got fired, he was sitting there sweating bullets. Sweating bullets because he knew it. Well, he was sweating bullets because that's what happens when you leave pork out at above room temperature. But on top of that, he probably knew what he was doing was wrong, but he did it anyway because he thought he could go ahead and slide under the radar. And he did for about a month until eventually they ended up catching it. Just saying. Wheelchair symbols for the win, I guess.
They did. I didn't, you know, it wasn't like I come out and said, oh, I lost my job, everyone, you know, go illegally, you know, break the terms of service and do stuff that you're not supposed to do. I never said that. I just want to say thanks a lot to everyone. I hope to entertain you in the future. Please go to my partner channel, The King of Hate HD, and click on the ads that show up on the videos there, because hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, that actually starts giving me some money back for what I'm doing. I mean, it's not cheap to do what I'm doing. I bought a lot of games, a lot of equipment, and now I have my own condo, which is basically my studio, to do whatever the hell I want. So, you know, anything that you can give back is much appreciated. I also do have the PayPal donation on the left-hand side of my Dark Side Phil channel. It explains how to go to PayPal and what you know, email address to send a donation to, darksidephil@hotmail.com.
I've gotten many donations, and as I said before, if you send me a donation of, you know, $10, $15, $20 or more, I'll mention your name in a video because I do appreciate that. So, thanks a lot.
No, that was just Detractor. See, that was bullshit. Okay, that was bullshit. One, that was bullshit. Phil forgot all about that. He didn't know he did that. He was desperate. He just got laid off and shit, and he didn't know what the scenario was, right? And he was just nervous. That's what it was. That's why he said that. That was bullshit. Second part, Phil never had any donation button on any of his channels to give him a tip at darksidephil@hotmail.com. That doesn't exist either. That's Detractor propaganda. That's bullshit. Bullshit. He never had that. Ever. No, he is a one-man army. And he never had any help financially or any support from any of his friends or anything on any of his channels when he started up. He was a one-man army. He was a one-man show. He did it all by himself. Despite the fact that John had showed up in a lot of those early videos and whatnot, gameplay, not only gameplay as well as Smart Guys, the wrestling podcast they had together. But he did it all on his own. He did it all on his own. Do not be distracted by that porky little individual there sweating, begging for money. None of that ever happened. No one ever sent him money to play games. or to buy games, and he never asked anybody to click on no ads. Ever. Ever. Fucking dumbass. First off, well, that kind of proves it all right there. And that's the earliest example of him doing it. He did it later on. He ended up doing it later on. Like I said, I think he was on Blip at that time when he was wearing that puff vest and whatnot when he asked for it the second time. And he knew that time it was probably going to get him hit. That's why he said it in such a way. You have to interact with the videos. And if any of you guys have been on YouTube at any period of time, yada, 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 you know what to do. But he blatantly asked you guys to click ads and send him money through PayPal. He begged twice in the same video within damn near the same paragraph. But he says none of that ever happened. None of this exists. This is all Detractor propaganda. They went in and edited that way to make it seem like he said that. Phil has accused Detractors of doing that before. Amazing. Even though Phil has countered that, because he said it just this year that, oh, they just take my content and they just cut out the parts, cut out the juicy part and leave everything else. You don't actually hear, everything. You don't hear it all in context. They just go ahead and give you the part that is for them. But they don't do anything. They don't edit anything on a funny sort of way to make it seem like I said something wrong. They just take out the parts that make me look bad. All of it makes you look bad. All of it makes you look bad. Snort Burnell could have just clipped out the part where he said, oh, click the ads and so on and so forth. Snort Burnell, being Snort Burnell, left all of it in there. So not only did you get the begging to click my ads and shit because I don't have a job now and I need all that money, but then you also heard, hey guys, send me donation money at my PayPal at darksidephil@hotmail.com. And thanks to all those people who have already sent me money. And if you do send me this money in denominations of $10, $15, $20, I'll shout you out in a video. All of that makes you look bad. Because he said at one time or another, none of that ever happened. None of that ever existed. But it's all right fucking there. And yet, we're the assholes, we're the liars, we're the brain dead idiots. Because Phil can't do his best Ponzi impression in peace. Amazing. Fucking amazing.
But people felt so bad for me, they ran over there and did it. And YouTube took that activity and said, that's way too much. That's like a ridiculously unproportionate amount of ad clicks, on your content. And therefore, we're shutting down your AdSense account because of it, okay? So at the time, the AdSense account was closed, all right? And then, years later, YouTube revamped their system. And when they revamped their system, they basically allowed everyone to, not reapply, but basically to say, okay, it's been years, can you unsuspend my account? And they did.
Now, wait a second, because I remember hearing this story said in two different ways. I've heard this story be told two different ways. One is the situation when the system got revamped and basically amnesty was given to everybody on Google. That did happen. But you didn't have to ask for that. Everybody just essentially, amnesty was basically just given across the board. So I don't remember anybody having to actually apply to see if they could get their AdSense account back. Amnesty was just given to everybody. And so that's the first story that kind of debunks what Phil said, but I don't have the sound clip. But I remember I remember that because G Money, as you guys know, a member of GTG Network and Productions, told me that. And even, if I remember correctly, he even directed me to where I could find that. Because there were a couple articles written about that too. So that's the first thing. Second thing, or he at least, yeah, I know he definitely told me about it. I know G Money definitely told me about that. I need to actually get him back on the show. I need to interview him, see how he's doing, and see what he thinks about some of this nonsense, as well as Ghostly Wins. We definitely need to redo that interview, Ghostly Wins. We definitely need to do that. My apologies about that first mess up. Now, here's the second one. This is the part that I'm kind of been building up to. He said recently that he had applied for his Google AdSense account a long ass time ago. And he got it. He said he did that while he was still with Machinima. When he was still with Machinima, he was allegedly, if I remember hearing it correctly, He was a couple years into his machinima contract. He asked if he could get he applied to Google and see if they would give it back to him. And they did. And he just sat on it. But that's in direct contradiction. That's a direct contradiction to what happened to him when he got let go from Curse. But now he's telling you something completely different here. I'm just throwing that out there. I need to find these clips now, but I bet you anything I find on Twitter or Kiwi Farm. Someone knows what I'm talking about. And I'm sure it's out there somewhere. If not, I'll have to check the company hard drive because I know it's on one of these things. But those are the two stories those are the two scenarios that came out recently. So this is new, kind of, at least to me anyway.
What?
They unsuspended my Adsense account. Now, during this time period, it didn't matter. I didn't need it yet because I was already still partnered with Machinima, and then later on I got partnered with Curse. So I was partnered with other companies that were making...
Okay, wait a second. Okay, never mind. This is it. Kind of, sort of. The story's slightly remixed, but this is it. So wait a second. He just said he didn't need it because he was already partnered with Machinima, or he was still partnered with Machinima, and he hadn't gone to Curse yet. But when he left Curse, remember how he was in this scramble because YouTube had taken his monetization away? And he was running around trying to do shit with dummy AdSense accounts to get himself re-established? But this right here contradicts all that. How is it that he was sitting on an AdSense account that he didn't need, but then he had to create dummy AdSense accounts later? He just screwed himself up by admitting this right here. Oh boy.
Money on videos. Anyway, I didn't need to have my own AdSense account. But behind the scenes, I was smart. Alright? And I made sure.
And he had to use a dummy AdSense account to get with Curse. Remember? Well, no. I am wrong. Because when he first went to Curse, it was a smooth transition. Then he left for Laveria or Fotabi or whatever that was. That scheme. He left there and then tried to come back. And then that's when he initially had a problem with his AdSense. So he had to work out a dummy AdSense account to get on the Curse. Which is why the dummy AdSense account exists in the first place. So, yet again, he's kind of screwing up his own lore here. But let's continue.
That if I ever needed a backup, that I would have it. So I did. I went and I got my AdSense account unsuspended and just kind of sat on it for years. And then, lo and behold, years later...
Wait, yet again, that still doesn't make any sense. What Snort Burnell says here actually makes a lot of sense. He more than likely used Pandas because she wasn't really doing shit on Machinima anyway. And then he used... Is that why he maybe... Wait a second. Okay, the thing about using the soulmates later on, or Catherine's, I don't know if any of her videos were monetized, though. I don't know. That's an interesting scenario. Using Pandas kind of makes sense, but he got Panda on Machinima too. He ended up getting her on an account on Machinima. I don't know if she had I don't think she had a managed account though, but he did somehow get her, at least on Machinima. But then again, Machinima was basically signing everybody. They were like the biggest gaming pimps out there, so, what's the big deal with that? But now that I think about it, when he says a dummy AdSense account, when he said dummy AdSense account, he meant just that. It wouldn't have been someone else's AdSense account and then he was using it as his own. I think he somehow figured out a way to make a fake AdSense account. Yeah, think about that. That might be interesting. I'll have to look into that.
The whole partner system fell apart. That's
what I was leading to. So, yet again, why did he feel the need to come out of his pork grinds, right? To go ahead one day and be like, yeah, I'm on Machinima and everything's good because this is pre-Adpocalypse, I would assume, is what he's hinting at. You know what? I want to see if I can get my AdSense account back. Why would he wake up one day and just be like, I'm making all this Machinima money, and be like, you know what? I want to get my old Google AdSense account back. Just in case something happens. Phil doesn't plan for nothing, and he don't have any backup plans. Because if he did, he'd have some money in savings, allegedly. He would have some money in a savings account. He don't. He doesn't invest in anything. No stocks, no bonds, no nothing. Doesn't even have a nest egg, except for the wheelchair symbols. So you guys really think that he woke up one day, he was fortunate enough to roll off Panda that morning, and decided, you know what? I should probably see if I can get my Google AdSense account back. You really think he did that? When he was under Machinima's protection and he didn't really have anything to worry about at that time? All of a sudden he's going to go back into his past and see if he can go ahead and get some and grab something under the precautionary measures that one day, oh, Machinima might fall apart and this way I have a backup plan? Does that really sound like something Phil Burnell was going to do? Does that sound like something DSP, Darkside Phil, Mr. Valedictorian was going to do? No. No. This is the same idiot who said that, oh, I used to make a good amount of money on YouTube and I thought it was always going to be that way, and then all of a sudden it stopped and it's all the detractors' fault. It's all the haters' fault. And now he's saying, oh, well, I was making all this money and I thought it was going to always be this way, but things change and I'm now learning that. In his late 30s, and says now he understands that things don't stay the same. But you're going to tell me that early 30s Darkside Phil contacted YouTube and was like, hey, can I get my old AdSense account back? Does that really make sense to any of you guys? TSP News.
I was at Curse for a year, then I was done with Curse, and now there's literally not a single reason to even use a partner program because...
I mean, Curse was actually done with you.
Everyone gets the same ads anyway. So, luckily I was...
And the whole thing about everybody gets the same ads anyway is still not true. So, I don't know what he's talking about there. I guess that's how he deals with YouTube, overlooking him yet again, because that's obviously not true.
Hard enough to foresee stuff happening and trends happening on YouTube.
Do you guys really think that Maximilian, the Rad Brad, what's it called, MK Fire and Ice, any of these really big gaming channels, right, or well-known gaming channels, do you really think they get the same ads as Darkside Phil? Seriously? You really think that? Just saying.
What was going on, and I saved that AdSense account until I needed it, and now I'm able to use it. Blatantly illegal AdSense account. Like, you are a fucking idiot.
Salt. That's all you can taste is salt.
Alright, like, what on earth are you talking about? Now, the other hilarious part about all of this is you got these moronic conspiracy theorists who are in the stream chat right now, and they're saying, but Phil, you did ask people to click on your ads on YouTube. Yeah, when was that video made? Think about this. There was a video made, it was my face reveal video, from the first half of 2009, excuse me. So the first half of 2009, I did a vlog with a face reveal video, and I very stupidly said in that video, one of the ways to help me out would be, I think I said, I might have said to click on the ads, I don't remember. Okay, I know that.
Oh, now we don't remember. Didn't he basically call those people fags for wanting to see his face too? But that doesn't have anything to do with this money talk that we have going on right now, so that's incidental. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
Said something about interacting with ads or clicking on ads. Okay, that video was put out in the first half of 2009, and never once was I ever contacted by YouTube to say, oh, you broke our terms of service by doing this. The video was never taken down. The video is still live on the internet to this day. You can still watch it in its entirety, right? I never had any negative consequences as a result of that video, okay? So, the hilarious stupidity of idiots who just want to parrot stuff and say, oh, the reason that Phil lost his AdSense in late 2010 is because of because this video where he said to click on ads. The video was out for a year and a half, you dingus. A year and a half. No negative repercussions happened.
But see, that's the reason why people bring up the second one. He doesn't understand that the first video was merely to show the establishment of the pattern, or it's the establishment of the behavior. The second video, the one that I told you guys about, where he said you guys need to interact with the video, but I can't tell you exactly how. But for all of you guys who've been on YouTube, that right there is basically the trigger, and it shows yet again a pattern. The first one that we just saw a snippet of earlier shows you all these different ways that he was making money on YouTube, at least the gaming aspect of it, and wasn't telling nobody. Remember, the lore is, oh, I was doing gaming content for, he was doing gaming content for what, 2.5 years, and he never made a dime off of it, but people were sending him money through donations to buy games. And like I said, in his Modern Warfare 2 video, which was also like his 30K or 60K subscriber video, he even admitted that people were sending him large donations behind the scenes, and he told them how they could do that there too. So he was basically getting money from the fan base since the beginning. Damn near. That's why the first video when he got fired and he's wearing his blue shirt and he's sweating, you know what I'm saying, like pork chops left at just above room temperature, is important because it establishes the behavior. When he got kicked off is what fucked him. That's the second time he did it, and he thought he was being slick, and he wasn't. The first one is still more damaging than the second. The fact, let me put this in perspective. Well, as best I can. The first video is damaging because not only did he ask them to click ads because he needed the financial support, but also that he admitted that he was getting donation money from the fan base from the hop before he could actually monetize gaming videos. Which means he wasn't doing it for free. He was being compensated in some way, shape, or form. Whether it was through YouTube itself, which he couldn't because he couldn't monetize gameplay footage at that time. He could only monetize what was on his vlogging channel, which is the reason why he needed John, and that's the reason why he was making good money off the wrestling shit. He thinks people are stupid and not realizing that. So he was making money off John probably since the hop, from basically the beginning too, at least on the vlogging channel. Just something to throw at you guys for anybody who, just to refresh you, I should say, on that. But like I said, the first video was damaging because not just because he asked people to click the ads, but it's the fact that he admitted that people were sending him money for donations, and he was asking people to send him donation money too. So it's not just the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that he said click an ad or click click a bunch of ads and shit to help me out, but also send me donation money through PayPal. That's the real damaging part. Because when, yet again, you go back to, Piggy Lore, he said that he never made a dime off his gaming shit. But he's lying though, isn't he? And that proves it. When Phil ended up getting kicked off, losing his Adsense account is incidental to the fact that he was almost always being compensated for his gaming material on YouTube. It just didn't have to be through YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like YouTube directly, let me reword that. It wasn't YouTube directly that was paying him. It was people in his fan base that were sending him large amounts of money to do so. That should be the most damaging part. If not, then at least it's established right now that that's the real damaging part. Let him see if he can squirm himself out of that, which he can't. Either way, he was in the wrong. Either way.
A year and a half later, as a result of a vlog, that, you know what I mean? No, what happened was I lost my job, people felt bad, and they went and they clicked on those ads to try to help me out at that point. That's what happened.
But you still asked them to do so. You can't sit there and blame those people for you losing your AdSense account. You told them to go out there and do it. That's what happened. It's not their fault because they felt bad for you and they went out and did it. You told them to do it. You told them to do that. It's not like if GTG Network and Productions crumbles tomorrow, right? It crumbles tomorrow, and I come to you guys and say, hey guys, you know all that invisible, and I say invisible because I don't have a way of monetizing, all that invisible AdSense money that I was making, I don't make that no more. So would you guys mind helping me out? You know what I'm saying? Or no, let's reword that. Let's remix it. So let's say GTG Network and Productions falls by the wayside. They got me. And the whole thing falls apart. And I make a video saying, okay guys, I'm going to have to start up a new channel. That's no biggie. But everything else is gone. It's lost. It sucks, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. You play hard. You know what I'm saying? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But I appreciate everything, and I'll follow me on Twitter or whatever and I'll let you guys know when the next broadcast comes up on a new channel. There you go. Right? And then all of a sudden people are like, well, how do we support GTG then? Like, does he have a PayPal? Does he have a donation link? How do we support him? It's different by me telling you guys, hey, this is over, but I got to start over. It's going to take some time. It sucks. And me coming out here on a video like Phil did and say, hey guys, I lost my job. Please give me money. Do it this way and do it this way. And if you do end up going with the second option, which send the money to me through my PayPal, I'll go ahead and shout you guys out in a video. There's a difference between both of those scenarios. The first scenario, I just told you about what my situation was. I didn't give you any options to give me money. I didn't give you any options to try to support me and try to help out. I just told you what my scenario is and what was my plans going forward. Phil not only told you that he lost a job, but he told you all of the ways to give him money and support him moving forward. That's the difference. They didn't feel bad for you and be like, well, maybe we can send Phil some money. Phil told you how you could send him money. And he did it off the rip. That's the problem. Or at least that's the real situation. He's sitting there fighting over some shit that we already know you got banned for. He's he's proverbially beating the dead horse with that. But now that that's been somewhat established, let's talk about that early donation money. That's the kind of the lore that I want to see Phil try to address now. Hey Phil, how much donation money were you getting from darksidephil@hotmail.com back in the day? Oh, I never said that. Oh, really, Phil? Oh, really? You never said that? Let's see how that goes. Let's see how that little bit of lore, of piggy lore, makes its way out there. Because I'm interested. I want to know. Because he never talks about it. He never talks about it because he keeps trying to make this fight be about his AdSense. He's purposely trying to keep that fight going so he doesn't have to address the fact that people were giving him donation money since damn near the beginning. It's funny how he's been doing that. It's funny how he's been doing that, and he's been doing that for a while because it diverts people's attention away from what I think is somewhat critical. Maybe not important, but certainly critical.
It had nothing to do with the video a year and a half before. You'd have to be a complete fucking moron to think that, but these people who say that are complete fucking morons.
He almost got me toxic. He almost got me toxic.
Alright, that's the thing. They're that dumb. They actually believe stupid shit like that because they have these crazy conspiracy theories about everything. So, the reason that Phil got his AdSense, taken away is because he made a video. No, had nothing to do with the fucking video at all. You're an idiot. But you make that up because you want to blame everything on me. No, that's not what happened at all. The problem is that YouTube's system was stupidly broken back then. It was easy to abuse.
I made a ridiculous fuck ton of money.
And people felt bad and abused it to try to help me. That's what happened. Alright? But keep spinning it with your stupidity. It's just so dumb. Quickly, Phil's AdSense was taken away. Find something he said a year and a half ago, to blame it on him. Like, boy, you guys are stupid. Well, but you can't help stupid when you're that dumb and you just make up shit to try to make people look bad, There's nothing you can do about it. But that's the other thing.
But this is where his greed kind of backfires on him. Because he vlogged everything, because he recorded everything, because he said everything to turn it into content, there's literally it's literally a treasure map that you could go back and you can find some of this stuff for the most part. Even though there's 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years of pre-streams that are gone, through stuff like the weekend preview, for example, his old Axe the Kings, stuff like that, you can pretty much put the story together, even without the pre-streams. Those pre-streams probably helped a lot, I would assume. I could only imagine what kind of gold mines those things were. But through weekend preview, because I've been kind of binge listening to a lot of that lately, as well as some other stuff, that you can still kind of get the story. You might not be able to get all of it, but you can get some of it. Something to think about. And that's just one thing out of many. And all those things still have ads on it, so there's no real reason to take any of that stuff down, right, Phil? Right, Phil?
People's AdSense accounts never get unfrozen. Well, mine did.
Wow.
All I had to do, like I said, I didn't touch it for years, and then I applied. Not apply, but I did the appeal process, because the appeals process changed over the years, and I just did the standard appeals process.
Then why, if that's the case, then why didn't you do an appeal process the moment you jumped onto Machinima? Matter of fact, why didn't you do an appeals process before you went to Blip? Why didn't you just do an appeals process the moment you got banned? Why'd you sit on it for years? That's why this story now makes no sense. It makes no sense. He had all these years and all these opportunities to go ahead and appeal his sentence, if you will, and he never did. But now all of a sudden he woke up out of nowhere and decided to do so? Fuck out of here.
They said, okay, we'll unsuspend it, you can use it again. And then I started using it again eventually. So I don't know what's people's problems are. They're really dumb. Okay? So it is what it is. You know, people are stupid. But the thing that gets me, so first of all, people care about me being a valedictorian so much that they want me to somehow provide evidence that I'm a valedictorian. Yes, because as you know, when you're a valedictorian of high school, they present you with many, many prestigious awards that you can then save for the rest of your life to prove that you were valedictorian, right? No. It's not what happens. I don't even know what I could provide. I don't even know if I have my high school yearbook anymore, quite frankly. I don't even know. I couldn't think of a single thing that I have that would show that I was valedictorian besides calling my high school and them referencing the records and confirming, which has already been done. And then the absolute stupidity of the blatantly illegal AdSense account. You just gotta laugh at this shit.
My mouth is full of salt.
Alright, Alfred Aponte took me $2.
You are my bitch. Thank you for the free money, dummy. And you can lick my balls.
That's the biggest tip of the day. He says, thanks for always being so patient with your fans. I hope this helps. Have a good day. Remember that even with trolls, there's also people who care about you. Yes, Alfred, I know. And the good news is, you know, you guys do make yourselves known. You guys do come and hang out with me every day. It's as I said. I certainly would not do this anymore if I felt that, like, there was no productive, there was nothing productive came out of it.
If I felt I was only doing this to entertain a bunch of dumbass trolls, then I wouldn't do it anymore.
Oh my god. Try to do this a little bit.
Oh god!
Now that he brought that up, I'd like to pose something in a bit more of a serious type of aspect. So, you guys remember not too long ago, Tevin showed us that there was a section under what is that? Streamlabs, right, for tips for some of the biggest, you know, donators of tips, whether for the week or for the month. I can't remember exactly what the category was. And so Tevin shows us all this, and then Phil immediately takes that shit down. Okay, the reason why I bring that up, and I'm about to bring up Muggsy in a minute, and I'm about to bring up all of those behind-the-scenes donations to my PayPal that we never hear about, right? And how there are fans out there who do give a shit about him and want to support him, this, that, and third. We have to understand, and it has to be established. I think it's already established, but I'm just going to go ahead and reestablish it, if you will. Or certainly just bring it up. That we have two demographics of fans here. We do have the people who are still, for whatever reason, diehard loyalists to YouTube, but may not give money to his PayPal, or not PayPal, to Patreon. And then you have the people who show up on Twitch. For the people who don't donate to him on Twitch, or on stream, I should say, there's still a demographic of people who give him money behind the scenes. Through PayPal, through Muggsy, because that link is still alive the last time I heard, and who give him large tips when he's not streaming, and Phil doesn't have to acknowledge. He probably just emails all of them behind the scenes. You still have to keep all of that. You know, that should still be reiterated on a daily basis, or at least a monthly basis about that. So if you think about it, all the people who give Phil money on stream are literally just being cucked, because who knows how much money he's making behind the scenes. You know what I mean? He likes to talk about all these bad scenarios and all this, that, and the third, and how bad everything is, and all these people trying to troll him and this, that, and the third. But what about the large amounts of money that he's making behind the scenes? How about that? And to reiterate that situation, I want to take you guys back to Emailgate. The second time. Because the first time was the $9,000 that a guy said he was going to donate to him. That was funny. And then there was another scenario where a guy wanted to... Oh no, maybe that is the same scenario. He would give him $9,000 or whatever the case may be, but he would have to publicly announce it. But I wonder if the statues were linked to that deal, or was that a different scenario in itself? I can't remember now, because all that kind of flows into each other. All right, well, anyway, do you guys remember behind the scenes, someone was basically trolling Phil and saying, I'll donate a large amount. Oh, no, that might have been something completely different. So that might not have been the 9,000. No, I think it was, because that's when the guy showed him the fake banking information. Yeah, it might have been it. Okay, so anyway, here, quick overview, if you will. Someone said that they would send Phil a large amount of money, X amount, and in doing so, Phil was like, "Oh, well, I'll send you a couple statues." A deal was worked out where he would send him a bunch of statues or a couple statues in its place. So Phil spent weeks basically taking pictures of his statues after, either before streams, the evening stream, hence the reason why he was late for a couple of those, and certainly afterwards at like 3 o'clock in the morning, which is cutting into his gym and wrestling time, to send him all these different pictures and doing all these correspondence. The reason why now that I'm thinking about it, all of that is pivotal, is because if he would go out of his way to talk to someone behind the scenes to try to get large amounts of money like this, doing it that way, who knows what kind of correspondence he's having with other people who just send him large amounts of money just so he can stay afloat. And those different types of email exchanges and those different sob stories and so on and so forth, because those people might not be people who follow Phil on YouTube as heavily as they used to. You know what I mean? Like, they may not watch his pre-streams, I should say. Maybe they just watch a couple of his playthroughs and then they keep it moving. So maybe they don't watch the pre-streams, and maybe they don't even show up to Twitch at all. So they don't hear the pre-stream over there in its entirety, or the unrecorded pre-stream that happens the second time around. They may not even follow him on Twitter like that. So outside of his gameplay, they're completely isolated from everything else. So just think about all the sob stories that Phil feeds to them. So let's go ahead and repaint this picture. What if, because we all focus on, like, Planet Jeff, because, Planet Jeff's a cuck. But what if there's actually 5 or 6 different Planet Jeffs out there? Each one of them not knowing about the other, so they're all independent piggy cells. And each one of them giving him a couple hundred, if not a couple $1,000 each month, or every other month. And he doesn't broadcast that. He doesn't acknowledge that. He doesn't talk about that on his streams. And he doesn't talk about that in his YouTube videos. And that could have been going on since the tax saga, since this all really started back in 2017, if not longer. Think about that, which gives me an idea for a new series. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it does. DSP News.
I had to lie. I had to lie about things because I had to protect my family, right?
I do it because on a daily basis, people come by, they have positive interactions with me. They say, "Thank you so much. I love your content. I love the fact that you stick in there, doing it despite all the trolling. You inspire certain people to do stuff, and, you make people feel good and positive about their own lives in a lot of different ways." All right? So, there you go. That's why I keep doing it, and certainly, Alfred, you're one of the positive influences, one of the positive people here. So thank you for that, and thank you for the support, and thanks to anyone who positively interacts with me and lets me know that what I do has meaning, besides entertaining a bunch of dipshit trolls on YouTube. Okay? Thank you.
Wait a second. Shouldn't you find meaning and some type of self-satisfaction in what you do? Like, shouldn't you have that in yourself already before anybody else even acknowledges it, I should say. Like, why do you need someone else to justify what you do, when in actuality you have no choice but to do what you do? And you become incredibly defensive when people say you could do this better, or you could do it more like this person, or maybe you should consider at least some of the traits or ways of the craft, if you will, from how these other people do things compared to how you do it. How come he gets so defensive about the product that he puts out, but yet he needs the customer base to justify and praise it to give it meaning so he can keep doing it? Why does he not have the pride? Why doesn't he have that pride in himself and in the product first? Which goes back to what I've said before about how if it wasn't for YouTube, he didn't know where he was going to be. Like, YouTube gave him meaning. If that's not scary, and certainly if that's not alarming, that maybe not scary is the word, but but if that's not alarming to you, I don't know what is. Like, that's kind of a problem. How do you follow someone who doesn't have any faith in themselves? How do you believe in someone who doesn't believe in themselves? No one sees any issue in that? It's almost like Phil's one of the biggest charity cases ever, or maybe one of the biggest charity cases ever in gaming, and he preyed upon people who were young and who had disabilities, mental or physical or both, to make his way in the world, to make him feel better about himself. It's funny how this person who's not a children's entertainer has to pig-splain everything to proverbial children, or at least in the way an adult would explain to a group of kids. But he's not a children's entertainer, though. He has mature fans, and he doesn't have brain-dead, sick fans like Tevin. It's kind of weird how that's a thing. It's also weird how he talks about how all of us, meaning detractors, trolls, critics, and haters, are all mentally ill sickos and shit, and we all have problems, and we all need to go to be carried away by the white coats. But look at how he acts. Look at how he treats people. This guy can't even function without someone taking care of him. And not just physically, but mentally. He mentally isn't strong enough to face the world on a day-to-day basis. Hence the reason why he doesn't. He only does that one day a week. And to only further my point, he can't face it by himself. That's why he has to go out there and do it with Catherine. And then he can barely face the online world unless there's somebody in the crowd yelling, Phil, 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 I still love you. To keep giving him the steam to keep moving forward. But yet, I'm supposed to take him seriously? I'm supposed to look at him like a worthy opponent? Any of us are supposed to look at him as an opponent? He's merely a hobby. I don't even look at you as an opponent. I don't look at you as opposition. You're not worthy of any of that. You're someone that I joke about, and I hear other people make jokes about. Like, you're not even, you're a minor interest, if you will. The shit that you say is fucking interesting at times, especially when you contradict yourself about blatant shit that I know you're lying about. But other than that, like, you yourself are actually boring. And your fan base sees it too. Hence the reason why Detractor content, the views month by month keep growing, and in turn, Detractor channels keep growing month by month. And where's Phil at? He's not at 200,000 subs. He doesn't have 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 subs on his Twitch channel. He's not pulling $500, $600, $700, $800 a night or a day, at least that we know of. Where's all the support from these supposed loving fans and shit? Why isn't his subs at the bare minimum? Think about this. For someone who has over 70,000 people following him on Twitch, which a follow doesn't mean too much, but just work with me on this. Why is it that he has 70,000 followers and he can't even pull, what's that? That'd be 10%? Why doesn't he have 7,000 subs onto his channel? Here, I'll be generous. Why doesn't he have half of that? Why doesn't he have 3,500 people following, sub to him on his Twitch? Here, I'll be even more generous. Why doesn't he have 1,000? And why can't he reach that organically? Why does someone have to come in and give a large influx of subs just so he can reach a 5, 6, 650, 700 sub goal? Why is it that he never strives for 1,000? Why doesn't he strive for anything higher than that? But he's supposed to be successful, though. He's supposed to be the status quo for successful streamers. He watches them. He knows what they do. But why can't he do it himself? And why doesn't he have the results? He's barely producing, he produces less than 10% of his actual following. And he can't seem to surpass that. Just saying. Also, with all that being said, it makes you wonder why Twitch defends him so hard. I guess the world will never know.
No Couture with a 40 sub donation. That is amazing, and he did all those
Proves my point right there.
yesterday to try to get us up and hit the goal, and indeed we did. So thank you to No Couture for 40 subscriptions in a day. Really jumped us up there. Much appreciated. Very much No Couture. Thanks for the money, stupid fuck.
Shoot, baby.
Come on, soothe, baby. Soothe it. Apparently there's no soothing baby. Like, I'm trying, but something's working. Well, I tried. Baby would not be soothed.
This guy's a bitch. That guy needs to be kicked in the freaking balls. He's an asshole.
Phil has indoctrinated children who send him money, blatantly milking for money. It's a money pit. It's gone.
Oh boy. Now the question is, if your cat right now, I think Subaru Man is looking a bit more promising than Phil. Well, at least she has Jim.
Hey yo, I just want to say
Okay. shout outs to my red bike. Okay, let's do a little bit of cleanup. I'll be right back, guys.
but you know, now I got a blue bike, and it's not the same, but it's a new life, a new journey. So rest in pedals, red bike. I love you. I like to bask in the tropics with a flask in my pocket. If you packed no problem, I'll start laughing in my.
Okay, guys. All right, so a lot going on. Had a lot to say actually, but oh boy. So how do we do this? Okay, the AdSense story is bullshit for the most part. Is pretty much bullshit, and that kind of killed all that. I think that should kill that right there. But I think the donation thing is more interesting. That's way more interesting. So I can't wait till people start to jump on that. Even if they don't do it this year, maybe they'll do it next year in 2020. Because there's a lot of obscure little moments that Phil glosses over, or he doesn't even acknowledge, which I think people would find a lot more interesting in the long term. But I'm gonna have to start digging. And we'll start going over some of that stuff, especially if not here, definitely on the Fight Club channel, and I'll just reference it here. So that's what I think about the whole AdSense account thing. This whole silly shit was bullshit. The monthly goal, yet again, that's charity. All these people supposedly love him, and they all want to support him, and this, that, and the third, but no one ever comes out to help him until it's too late, or it's almost too late. Hence the reason why he has to keep doing, he has to do all this fear-mongering to get people to support him. So is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe I'm just wrong, and people do support him, and people do love him, and they do give him large amounts of money, but it's just all behind the scenes, and none of us know about it? So he's literally cucking people who are on the streams because they don't know what's going on. They only know what Phil tells them. So, ladies and gentlemen, Phil averages between what, 9,000 and 12,000 on Twitch alone each month. What if I told you, ladies and gentlemen, this is just an assumption, I have no proof of any of this. What if Phil is making an additional $2,000 or $3,000 each month on top of that? And then YouTube, and then PayPal. But what if Phil is making an additional $2,000 or $3,000 off of Twitch, or off of behind the scenes donations, and nobody ever hears about that? And especially around, especially in late 2017 and early 2018, when money was crazy on Twitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people were coming out and supporting him in droves. Just think about the amount of money that was being given to him behind the scenes too. Think about that. Like I said, that's all an assumption. I'm just throwing that out there, but think about it. That's kind of crazy. The Valedictorian thing, I already told you my thoughts on the whole social, his social intelligence, and how he's able to convince people to give him large amounts of money, but he can't function in the world. As far as I'm concerned, the standards for whatever the high school he went to, the standards must be low, or somehow he was able to play the system out. I don't know. He could very well be as intelligent academically as we think, but he can't make it translate into the real world. He can figure out how to con people, but he doesn't know anything really about the world, unless what's been told to him. He doesn't have a real understanding of anything. Even his strongest point, which would be his vocabulary, is when he starts talking, it starts to get watered down pretty fast. So I don't know. It's kind of debate. I guess it's an interesting debate. It's something to think about, I guess. I don't know if it needs to be given that much, but I don't know. I'm not really here All I know is, if nothing else, is that I don't underestimate anything Phil does because he gives me a reason not to. The moment you start thinking that you know every move that Phil makes, you've already discounted yourself, and by proxy, you're going to put yourself in a bad spot. Sort of. Always look at every day, and not only when it comes to Phil bullshit, but his life, as a chance to learn something new. And Phil is a shining example of that. I feel like every day I wake up, he's up to some bullshit. Even when I take a couple of days from this stuff and I come back to it, he's pulling some shit that I have not seen before. But then I remember that if I go digging through his history on YouTube far enough, eventually I'll find him doing it at one time or another. And that's kind of the motto, or that's one of the mottos here. I got a lot of them apparently. That's one of the mottos that I have for this shit, is that Phil's past is a roadmap to his present and to his future. He recycles everything. Everything is reused in some way, shape, or form. It's just years in between a lot of that stuff. And since his memory is so bad, or he just lies to himself so much that he just doesn't remember it, it seems new to him too. So he seems somewhat excited about it, despite the fact that it's something that he's pulled before. It's just the reality of it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll see you guys for the next broadcast, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. I had a lot to say here. But I had a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on at GTG Network and Productions. For the Snort Report, I'm your host, /anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, guys. Don't forget about Red Bike. See you guys later.
I hope that this alright with you. With you.